Hi, everybody. It's good to be back with you today. I've got a deep subject for you today. We've been talking about seasons, and this one can be a really long season. This one that I'm going to talk to you about today is kind of a tough one. I think everybody that would be listening to this, including myself, would probably be able to say, Vikki, this has been a tough one for me. Well, you know what? I join you in that because it's been a tough one for me many, many times in my life. And it's like between now and the time that I go on to be with Jesus, I'm telling you that it's probably going to happen again and again. It's just the way it is. And so what I want to talk to you about is forgiveness, and who is that for today? Who really benefits from forgiveness? And so I want to tell you, before we talk about what forgiveness is, I think we first have to see what forgiveness is not. And forgiveness is not a feeling. It's actually an act of will. It's a decision that you make. Forgiveness, it involves a series of decisions. Actually, it's not just one. You can't just say, oh, I choose to forgive this person, and bam, it's there. Or it didn't happen for me that way. And none of the times, and there's been many, that I felt like that I had to forgive and be forgiven for so much in my rotten life that I lived. The first of which is to call on God to change our hearts. So you're like, okay, there she goes with that God word. She's done said Jesus. She must be one of them. Well, I am a Christian. I am a person of faith. And gosh, I'm hoping you're a person of faith, too. We may not be of the same faith, but here's the deal. I welcome you to my channel. For conversation, for uh, to get to know each other, and really to sit down on that stump and muddy bottom and think about these things. All of these things. It doesn't matter what faith that you're in. All of these things that I think I'm going to be talking about, I think it would affect all of us, regardless of what we believe and who we serve and all of that. So I hope you won't hold it against me because I'm a Christian, because I'm not going to back down from that. I believe totally in what I believe in, as you may also. But I just like to share thoughts with you about seasons, because regardless of who you are, whether you're a believer or you're not a believer, you may be an atheist. You may not believe in anything, but whichever way it goes, these are issues that we're going to talk about, that I think hopefully you will have something that you will be able to get from it. You know what I mean? An application of how to make it through that, how to survive it, and so on. So, what happens is, um, God the Father gives us grace. We must decide with our will not to think or talk about it. I heard somebody say one time that that's called reseeding. Oh my goodness. Can I tell you how many times I've reseeded things? That's when we reseed bad seed. You hope to plant good seed, but then you turn around and reseed bad seed by repeating it, talking about it over and over. Oh, I can tell you the times. I still do it. I still catch myself doing it. It's a, I'm a work in progress. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just work in progress. Second, forgiveness is not forgetting. So forgetting is a passive process in which a matter fades from memory merely by the passing of time. But forgetting is an active process. It involves a conscious choice and deliberate course of action. I mean, it's something that we have to make a decision that who's it best for? Who's it best for to forgive? So let me stop right there and just touch on this for a minute. Let me say this. To put it another way, really, God says that He remembers our sins no more. It's not that He's saying He cannot remember, because He's God, He can remember everything. It's that He promises that He won't remember them. Like when He forgives us for things that we've done. And isn't that the way that we want it to be with people that we have wronged? We want them to forget it and move on And we don't want it because it causes us pain to think that we cause somebody else pain. Isn't that right? That's just kind of the way it goes. So when he forgives, he chooses not to. So we kind of have to work on that one. That one's kind of a tough one. But, who do we really forgive for? Are we forgiving that person that did us wrong because it's best for them? Or is it best for us? Well, you might have an argument there or make a case that it could be best for both of us. But who it really is best for is for us, the ones that are holding the offense. Because if we don't release the offense and we don't forgive them, then what happens is we continue to drink the arsenic and expect them to die. You've heard that before, haven't you? Where people said, that's, and like doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You don't ever get it because you keep doing the same thing over. So if you keep holding offenses, you keep holding hurts. I'll give you a couple of examples. When I was a lot younger, I was molested. And so of course, as most children go through life, you hold that in. You don't tell people, maybe because you were threatened and maybe because you thought that was to blame somehow for it. I think I did. I think I carried that. I always questioned it. But here's the thing, the people that did that to me held control over me because it did end. But those people held control over me all those years because I let them. Because I thought by my not forgiving them and asking the Lord for the grace to forgive them. Oh my goodness, that was a deal. That somehow that was making them pay for their sin. And the reality is it didn't. Not at all. They kept moving on with the life. They did their life. And you know what? One of them, I remember this particular one person. This person was about to pass on. And when I got the call that that person was going to pass on, I was sitting on the end of my bed, and I will never forget it because out of my mouth said, I've got to come back so I can make sure that they make heaven. Who the heck said that? Who said that? Who's in the room? Who said that? Because I can tell you, most of my life, I spent time wanting them in hell. I did not want them in heaven. Because I was planning on going to heaven. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was planning on getting to heaven, and I didn't want them anywhere in heaven because heaven couldn't house the both of us. You know what I mean? So what I did was, out of my mouth, I said that, and I thought, when did that happen? When did I forgive them to the point that I would wish them to be in heaven? And the Lord showed me right then that He had been working on me for a long, long time in this journey that I am still on today, getting closer to Him and living the best life and trying to learn how to do things the best way, not the easy way. Oh, it's never the easiest way. If we're looking for easy, forget it, sister and brother. It ain't happening. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen that way. It's not the easy way, but it is God's way. And so He wants the best for us, and we want the best. So if we follow what He tells us, that forgiving is best. So let's talk about the second thing right there. So if we don't recount it and we don't reseed it, then similarly, when we forgive, we must draw on God's grace and consciously just decide not to think about it and not to talk about it. Do you know that I would have to, at this point in my life, I would have to sit down, and that's when I knew I was really healed. But I would have to sit down and literally think about those events. But for the first part of my life, when I had not forgiven these people, I want you to know that it was a movie playing in my head over and over and over again, every day, all day long. I mean, there would be flashes, there would be all kinds of things all day long. It happened all day long. So I tell you that because I want you to understand that when we forgive, we feel you're like, well, but Vicki, we're letting them out of prison. No, what you're doing is you're letting yourself out of prison because you're the one that's been in prison. They've gone on and lived their life. I'll give you another example because those people went on and lived their life. They didn't have one clue and could not probably care less how much damage they had done in my life, and it did alter my life. But you know what? God turned that around. He turned every bit of that around and turned it for His good, which is exactly what the Scripture says. What the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, that God will come to give it life and give it more abundantly. Well, that's exactly what He's done. My life's been great. My life has been great, and I've been able to help other people who have walked through this same situation because they needed to heal. And how we heal ourselves is we let go of those other people. So finding forgiveness is not excusing either, because the very first thing that you're going to say is like, but Vicki, if we have to let them back in our life? Are you saying that we got to let them back in our life and we've got to? What if the abuser never asked for forgiveness? Let me tell you, my abusers never did. They never did ask for, to this day, has never asked for forgiveness. I don't know if they're sorry or not. And you know, at this point in my life, I don't care. It doesn't matter because I've let them go. I've let God take over and I've let them go. But do you know that He's healed some of those relationships? There's one relationship that was, for example, it was over almost 30 years that there were no communication. This is a family member that I love. I love, I love, I love. And you're like, Vicki, how could you love? Because I love. I love like He loved me. And He loved me and He went to the cross, and that's what He did. He gave everything for me. He gave it for you. Even if you never accept Him, He still gave it for you. It doesn't change. He still gave it all for you. There'll never be another person living, walking, breathing on the face of the earth that will ever give it all for you. It was done once and it was more than enough. So the abuser will probably may never come to conviction and come and have the wherewithal to come and ask for forgiveness. But it's really awesome. I had a friend very close. I love her to death. I love her, love her, love her. And I had offended her. I had hurt her terribly, terribly. I had no idea. It was something that I failed to do. I didn't realize I didn't do it. And she would tell you that. I love her. Today, I would do anything in the world that I could possibly do for this woman. And so years and years and years went by, and I didn't know. And she walked into my office one day. She would know when she hears this. She'll know exactly who I'm talking about. You wouldn't, but she would. And she told me that she needed to ask me to forgive her because she had held this offense at me. She had been angry at me for all these years, and I had no idea. I just thought well, life got busy, you know, and so I just never thought about that the reason she wasn't around was because she was upset with me for any reason. I had no idea. So this whole time, here I am just doing life. I'm doing life and moving on, not having a clue that this precious love of my life is hurt and offended by something I did. And granted, I didn't mean to, and she knew that. She knew I didn't even know, I didn't even realize that I'd done it. But then, you know what I had to do? When I realized that I had hurt her, I had to ask her, will you forgive me? Would you forgive me? Because I know I didn't know, but it doesn't matter. I still want you to forgive me because I don't want there ever to be anything between the two of us that we can't talk over, get through, get around over, whatever. But I don't ever want anything like unforgiveness to stand between you and I and our friendship and our sisterhood because that we are. So, you know, there's going to be times when you do things that you don't even know that you've done, but they're hurt, and that hurt is genuine. The family member that I told you that had been almost 30 years, for example, that particular situation, for them, it was real. It was real. I begged for forgiveness. If I told you the story, you'd probably go like, what'd you do that for? You didn't do anything. Well, for them, it was real. And that's what the Lord told me to do. He told me to genuinely reach out and ask for forgiveness. And I didn't do it just one time. I did it many times. Even after the Lord said, it's done. It's done. You did what I told you to do. They didn't accept your forgiveness, and you did what I told you to do. So I moved on. So in all of those years, I just kept living life. God, a good life too. God was just so, he was good to me. He's always been good to me. And so during that time though, but see, we lost a lot of years. But here's what happened. In due time, guess what? God healed that relationship. Have we ever spoke about this situation? Nope. No need to reseed it. No need to talk about it. No need, no problem. I've already done mine. I've done forgiven. I can love, hug, and love these people to the end of the world. And it doesn't matter because I genuinely love them. I got over my mad. I got over my hurt feelings. I got over my righteous indignation. I got over all of those things that I thought I was justified to do. Ain't that the way we do? We just think we're so justified. But you know, if you sit down on that stump in muddy bottom and you really weigh out the whole situation, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find out that you had a little piece of that pie. So you're not totally without some responsibility. And we don't want to ever be that person that totally leaves them to have this unforgiveness in their heart. So when we move on and we love them anyway, right where they are, just like Jesus does us, how dare how dare I not forgive anyone who has hurt me? Because he's forgiven me for so much. So much. I mean, the world of internet could not hold all that he has forgiven me for. And so how dare I not to forgive him or her or whoever it is. So forgiven does not mean that it was okay what they did to me or what, and forgiven was, I wanted to make sure that I got all of it right because you know what? There's no atrocity against me that could possibly hold water when it comes to me making heaven. And there's no unforgiveness that will enter the kingdom of God. And you may not choose to go, but I plan on going on the first ship out, sister and brother. I hope I'm on the first ship out. I don't want to be on the last one, but as long as I make it. I mean, I'll take the last ship if I had to. But that's what you want to. That's what you want to think about. You know, I had another person that in my life that was very, very. I had just adopted this person as family, and this person betrayed me terribly. It was, it physically affected me. It physically affected me. Now, let me tell you about old Vikki girl here and her forgiving. Not always is it easy like the first couple of cases I told you about. This one, I had to dig deep. I had to dig deep. And I had to go to a lot of prayer, a lot of digging in Vikki. So I went to the muddy bottom more times. My feet won't ever be right again. I tell you, I've had to go to the muddy bottom and sit on that stump so many times and dig out everything that's left. Because, you know, truly we know in ourselves, we know us, and we know in ourselves when everything just isn't completely right in there. And I just kept saying, Lord, I don't want anything left. I don't want anything left that could possibly be misconstrued in my heart as unforgiveness. When I look at this person, I don't want to have to remember everything that I know that they did. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to look at them with the love of Christ. It doesn't mean that I have to hang out with them or be close to them anymore. It doesn't mean that I have to accept them and them be close to me. But when I look at them, I can still love them. When I look at them, I can still hug them. I can still be cordial. I can still be nice to them, genuinely in my heart. You know, you can put on the fake stuff, but what's going on in the heart? You know what I mean? I got a feeling you do. So I tell y'all this because I'm hoping that you'll sit down and you'll take stock in your life. And because I want you to have the best life. Because this season, it can last 30 years. I mean, it can last till death do us part, honestly. You can really carry this on for till the end of time when Jesus comes back. If you want to, I mean, it's your choice. I'm putting it back in your ballpark because the bottom line is that's where it is. It's in your ballpark, just like it's in my ballpark and anyone else that's listening. We have to make the conscious decision, just like Jesus did, to release them from the prison, to unlock the door of our prison cell and walk out and go like, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. I don't care. It's whatever. Because honestly, if you hold unforgiveness, tell me in what way does it benefit you? Think about this. We'll leave you with these two things. In what way does it benefit you to carry it? Does it change their life? Does it make them pay for what they've done? Does it better your life? And who benefits? Who really benefits? And if you think you're the person that benefits, then what I ask you to do is look at yourself and tell me how. Write it down. Write down the pros and the cons of not forgiving this person. And by the way, while you're doing it, why don't you go ahead and write down all the people that is affected by your unforgiveness? Because there's a lot of them. Everyone that you come in contact with that walks in your life comes in contact with you. Those people pay the price of your unforgiveness. Everybody's affected. Family, children, husband, everybody, wife, everybody, co-workers. Because you're not all that you can be. You're not your best. And you're certainly not living your best life. Things may look good, but you and I both know something's gnawing you to death down up underneath that heart. So I encourage you to just let it go. Sing that song, let it go. Just sing that song and live your best life. Let them out of prison. See you next time.